It's another beautiful Saturday morning in Lagos City where we're transmitting from. Welcome to the Morning Buzz on Voice of the People TV. And of course, I am Masinachi Okafor. And I'm not alone. I'm here with the very beautiful young lady here, my colleague.
And I choose not to do the English. So good morning, my country people. My name is Adeleke Jaisimi.
All right, the show this morning, we have a lot of stories to talk about today, but we're starting off with the first topic of discussion. Governor Adeleke rejects the AGF's council, emphasizes that Osun local government election will be held today. Interesting.
Very interesting one there. And herdsmen attacks and kidnap rise in Nigeria, leading to NYSC withdrawal and ransom demands.
That's a very terrible one. But before we take the stories of discussion for today, we'll also have other interesting trending stories to talk about this morning. Kindly click on the subscription button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are at Voice of the People TV, and other social media handles, we're at VOP TV Live. Also visit our website, www.vop.ng, for fresh and trending news. As Voice of the People TV, we encourage you to call and share your thoughts. And of course, reactions via WhatsApp on 0904-473-2605. Because here, your voice matters and it is more than just a voice. Well, moving on to the stories that we are talking about today as per, trending stories on social media. The House of Representatives Committee on Constitutional Amendment has rejected all 31 proposals for new state creation due to their failure to meet constitutional requirements. The Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kalu, announced this decision during a retreat in Ikotekbene, Akwa Ibom State, although the proposals were submitted on February 6, 2025, non-qualified under the necessary criteria. The committee has extended the submission deadline to March 5, 2025, to allow communities to revise their proposals. Adeleke is laughing.
What a time to be alive, what a time to be in Nigeria. 31 new states. I mean, what exactly are we doing? 31 new states. We already have 36 states. We are still trying to manage resources. We are still trying to hold people accountable for their actions. We are still trying to understand how the arms of government works, looking at it from the angle of the responsibility and jurisdiction of the local government to the state government to the state government and down to the federal government. And of course, when it comes to the federal government, to looking at it from the angle of, okay, what does the Senate does, what does the National Assembly does, the red chamber, the green chamber, all of that, we are still struggling to define our democracy. That is after this is our independence is like 65 this year, and this is our fourth republic that began in 1999. We've not made much progress. Then we are coming up with 31 states. It just looks like everybody just wants to have a state. We can wake up tomorrow and have airport road states.
I was about asking you that question when you started laughing. I'm like, this must be really laughable, because I mean, we're still struggling with a lot of insecurities in our states in Nigeria,
right?
And then we're talking about creating more states, and most people, a school of thought would, say that this is more like politically motivated, because some states that are being created is so that it would aid some people from some certain states.
Yeah, so some have said for inclusion's sake. But if you talk about inclusion, you should first look at it from the angle of what state are you trying to break out for? What's been generated in terms of IGR? How is it being shared across the state? Is there any part of that state that has been neglected? Maybe they don't feel like maybe they feel like they've been marginalized. I think that's the word. But if there's nothing like that, I think that before we get to the point of building more states, it should be about defining what we want as a state and what each state stands for. Many states are not even generating money. This is another burden about to be on the federal government. So if you feel like it's just because of inclusion, no, I think it's beyond that. Like you rightly said, it's more for people that think that, oh, there's so much that can be gained. We can just go to Abuja, get our allocation for the state, and that's it. It's beyond that. And of course, the assembly has said that they didn't even meet up with the criteria for being a new
Are
state.
they even supposed to be giving attention to that? Like the assembly, are they not supposed to like tell them this is not what we should be talking about in Nigeria?
No, it's a right actually.
Well, yeah, but it's their right to also, tilt those people requesting for these additional states, to, tilt them towards the right direction. Like, give them an advice. Like, do you think this is what we should be talking about?
So when you talk about these arms of government and what they do, their jurisdiction and all, there's a place for accepting everything that is being brought. There's a place for looking through these papers, and there's a position where you get to say, no, this works, that doesn't work, because putting out advice might even cause more problems, because people can come out.
Give the advice. When they give the advice, we'll know whether or not it's going to work.
We know what the advice. I'm even surprised that all of the 31 states were thrown out, because I know that my people are trying to clamor for the Ijebu states, and I've been hoping for that state actually.
Oh, really? Though?
Yeah.
So you see that?
Some deputy governor shit, right?
Okay, so you see why she said that the advice might not really be necessary.
Nigeria, but really, I have a lot to give to my community too. And I feel like maybe Ogun State is just too big, and maybe they're not seeing my people well enough in Shagamu. So if they decide to give us states now, Ijebu State, maybe the capital will be like between my village and that's some growth and progress.
If we have someone here who become the
start taking pictures, so I won't say I don't know.
Really though,
very important.
Well, let's move on to the next topic of discussion for
today.
today.
All right, so Yemi Adaramodu, the Senate spokesperson, has criticized Kogi Central lawmaker Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan for her outburst during a dispute with the Senate President Godswill Akpabio over seat assignments in the Senate. Akpoti-Uduaghan rejected the reassigned seats actually, claiming her rights were violated following a reshuffle due to defections from the People's Democratic Party to the APC. And in an interview, Adaramodu emphasized that the National Assembly is for serious business and not entertainment, dismissing Akpoti-Uduaghan's claim of being marginalized. And personally, I would say that is laughable again.
Laughable in what sense? Because there's an angle I want to come from.
Okay, looking at it from what is obtainable in the House, because I've seen videos emerge of the Senate President also questioning the former Senate President, Bukola Saraki, during his time when his seat was reassigned. But I think beyond all of the emotions, because I know that when it comes to women, there's this angle we always want to look at it from the fact that we don't even have enough women representation in governance, and we feel like, okay, Natasha and Akpabio, this is not the first time they're having this back and forth. But what is right is right. I think that seat reassignment was the right thing to do. It's been stated that the Senate President has a right to reassign seats when things like this happen in the House. However, I don't know how she felt that could have been communicated to her, and maybe the choice of words of the Senate President might have aggravated whatever anger she had in her. But regardless of the situation, even if she has to be questioned for her attitude, but I think that it was good that she stood for something, and she stood her ground, saying that she was not going to be silenced, and saying that the Senate President. So that is where we should look at it from. Waiting day between Senate President and Natasha Akpoti.
That's the question. You remember 2024?
Yeah.
They had the same issue in 2024 that the Senate President said, oh, the House is not for a House of nightclub.
Yeah.
And then it feels like he has, maybe some people feel like he has something on her. And it went as far as having a lot of things trending, and people were like, oh, so you feel like you can insult a woman in that manner? And people started bringing out names of persons that he has been entangled with.
Right.
And he had to apologize to her that year. And now we're having the same lady, the same Akpabio, and it boils down to actually know if these people want women to be here. Now, aside from the fact that yes, it's the seat reshuffle was a thing that was meant to be, but it feels like she's being attacked for like more like for personal reasons and not just because of whatever it is that's happening in the house.
Now, that's why I said that Oga Akpabio needs to come out and tell us what it is about
what he has against her.
About fair women and all, sincerely. Because
fair women.
Yeah, fair women, because I mean she's so bright like diamond.
Okay.
And I mean it's hard for anybody to walk past a Natasha and not look back. This is God's own creation. But the truth is, whatever had happened in 2024, I remember vividly how he was dragged on social media and he had to apologize. Even his numbers were released, that of his wife, talking about the kind of harassment they received, and that sort of shaped his decision to come out openly to apologize. But in other videos, beyond talking to Natasha, you will see that he has a trend of talking in a manner that seems uncomfortable for a lot of people, because I'm careful with my words, because this is an adult, a Senate president. But I also want people to look at it from the angle of sometimes societal standards are there, sometimes cultural backgrounds. Some people naturally do not have so much respect for women when they talk. It doesn't mean undermine who that woman is. They just naturally see women as a second-class citizen. That's to address Akpabio. But speaking to Natasha Akpoti, I would say over and over again that I think she's on the edge. I think that she has a problem when it comes to the Senate president, because if it was a seat reassignment, there's a way you could have gone about it. The only problem I had was where he said that she should be thrown out of the house and the other woman had to step in. I mean, if there's anything worse than minority, women are less than minority in the house. But I think that it's a standard in the house that seats be reassigned, and I think that should be respected. And the spokesperson already said that they are not going to revisit the issue, as somebody from Kogi State had already apologized on her behalf. I think that they should find a common ground, whatever it is between the two of them. They should put it outside the Senate. I mean, as much as possible, be civil, be polite. You are here to serve Nigerians. You are talking on behalf of the people in Kogi, not as Natasha, and neither is Akpabio speaking because he wants to speak. You are speaking on behalf of Nigerians, leading the front at the Senate. So the two of them can do better. These are people's mothers, fathers, husbands, and wives. So you should do better, really. That's my opinion of it.
All right. It might interest you to know that I also saw online where it was said that the Southside women, slammed, and then I'm wondering, like, what's going on with women?
Women, we are naturally like that. That's the truth. When it comes to women, our blood is hot. Our blood is hot. We no one know wetin happen. We no one know as the matter take reach where it dey. Once now woman they involved, everybody won't put mouth talk. And of course, social media also understand that monetization is important. So normally these people for comot, and nobody go know so they comot say. But I mean, when you see pictures of people gathered like that, everybody don't carry phone, because it's not a small money. The more the views, the more money you make. But really, when women want to fight for women, when we want to stand up for other women, we should take our time to look at what the root cause of the issues are. I will say it over and over again. It's obvious that Natasha is on the edge when it comes to the Senate president. And I think that reaction was not necessary in the first place. Even though she stated that there's a part of the law that allows her to speak when there's a need for it, I think that the Senate president should have allowed her speak to, and regardless of her outburst, how you go say me they carry woman, an adult? Like, who does that? Nobody does. Why would you say they should carry a woman out of the house because you are the Senate president and because you are a man? I think it's high time women started showing men that we are well enough. And if it happens again, it will be beyond South women, the old women in Nigeria. We are going to shut down Lagos to fight.
What are we shutting down in Lagos?
We're shutting down everywhere now. You know, once you shut down Lagos, Abuja will get the signal. Then you shut down Abuja. Once you shut down Abuja, Nigeria don't shut down.
So this is women supporting women.
We are supporting women all the way. I mean, even though it has to be black women supporting yellow women.
Whichever one it is. Well, we have, of course, we have to read out the newspapers. But of course, we have our guests in the studio to help us analyze these newspapers. we have Mr. Peter Anosike. Mr. Peter Anosike is a philosopher, developmental economist, and a best-selling author. He is also an erudite commentator on economy, finance, politics, and power. And then also we have Mr. Lawal Ikundayo, an educationist, also a public affairs analyst. From Benin, of course, to join our Benin brothers. But before that, let's just read out the headlines on the newspapers as we talk about it here before we get into the discussion proper. So we're starting off. I'll take a punch from the Punch newspapers this morning, and the headline, of course, says IBB defends executing childhood friend, family demands restitution, and the subrider says coup plotters plan to shoot down presidential jet, says Babangida. Abiola's daughter Odumakin slammed ex-dictator on 1993 presidential poll. And then we also have on top of the nameplates we have confusion reigns as court okays election, please withdraw. The subrider says, stop polls, avert violence. Police warn government. And then beneath, under the paper, we have help. My police husband's corpse seized despite paying 12 million naira hospital bills. Widow cries out. We'll get justice through other means if government fails us. Father of dismembered Kwara lady. Long school hours, heavy homework drain children, and exploitative fees. Okay. And then this one says, how I mentored Unilag best graduates, 12 others, done. And then under it we have how my father, mother killed each other at home, 13-year-old Ekiti boy says. And then we have this one, from music to mayhem, Portable's never-ending scandals. Well, welcome to the show, Mr. Peter Anosike and Mr. Lawal Kundai.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I'm going to start off with this very interesting one here that says IBB defends executing childhood friend. Family demands restitution. And then, of course, the subrider reads says, coup plotters plan to shoot down presidential jet, says Babangida. And then the other subrider says, Abiola's daughter, Odumelding, slammed ex-dictator on 1993 presidential poll. Mr. Peter, how do you react to that?
Well, for me, this is about 30 to 33 years. Why is he speaking now? What has Babangida been waiting for up till now? So if he has died some years back, Nigeria wouldn't have known this information. So, and he also waited for many of the key actors there to die before speaking out. That's why a lot of people are not believing in his stories. A lot of people are not believing in his stories. And for the issue of Vasa, they accuse him of coup attempt. And then under the army, the penalty is execution.
Okay, under the army penalty is execution.
It's execution. Okay. So whether the trial was fair or not is what I don't really know.
Okay.
Because it wasn't done in the open. But up to today, many Nigerians who were of age then are not happy with how it went.
Okay, let me come to you, Mr. Lawal. Still talking about that very sad incident that happened in the year 1993. The former head of state, Babangida, coming out to talk about it 32 years after. And of course, Mr. Anosike has highlighted the fact that he waited for a lot of people to die. What do you think about what the privileges are supposed to be for the Abiolas and the King Igbe? I mean, their mantle was taken, it was robbed of broad daylight, and they were denied. Abiola fought for this cause over the years, was jailed. He even died at the point where democracy was almost here. And after all of this, you've come to tell us that, oh, this was annulled and it wasn't your fault, making strong accusations against the late Abacha. Though some reactions are out already, but let me get your reactions to this first.
Thank you very much for having me. It's like saying something about Hitler. That Hitler is saying that the Second World War was not his fault. You get what I'm saying? It's like saying something like that. The question is, are we supposed to be under the military in the first place? Is military legal in Nigeria? Military rule, is it legal? They set aside the constitution. What was the constitution? We need to go back to the constitution and see whether even his rule was legal or not. These are the questions we need to ask. And what we are not asking is, do we supposed to have all this? That is why up till now we can't even have a true democracy. Go and look at the constitution now. It started with a decree. What is a decree? It's supposed to start with a referendum. So why do we have decree and we are still using it? So do we have democracy? It's because this is what the problem we have is still the problem that the military juntas in Nigeria caused. And somebody is coming out to talk to us like he's a hero, or it is not his. So this thing is still his fault because he gave the constitution.
Okay, if you talk about him being celebrated as a hero, do you think that is his fault? I mean, he could have sent invitations out to say that he wanted to launch a coup, and the biggest people in the country, the elites, the people in the corridors of power, should have redefined the purpose of that meeting. But we saw that it was celebrated as one.
Birds of the same feathers. What do you expect? What do you expect? See, that's why I said in the constitution, okay, he executed some coup plotters. Why did he execute them? Because they didn't succeed. He also planned a coup. He became head of state because he succeeded. Some people planned the same coup he did. Because they didn't succeed, they were executed. So of what law did you use? Of what law, you get it, uphold you as the head of state because you planned coup and you succeeded? Therefore, you have to rule. Some people planned it, they didn't succeed. You are telling us it's against the military. What is against the constitution? The constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What is it? So it's stated here that when you plan coup and you succeed, it's okay for you to rule the country. So what's the difference between person who planned coup and succeeded and person who planned coup and did not succeed? What's the difference?
Okay, let me come to you, Mr. Adeleke, now. Let's talk about moral standing. Because if we would have people celebrate IBB after 32 years with such revelations and heavy donations, where do we stand morally?
Well, Nigeria moves on very, very easily. We don't have that retention, and that's why these politicians are treating us the way they are treating us. Because something will happen today, tomorrow everybody has moved on. We have forgotten. So when I see all the people that attended that book launch, what my mind was telling me is that these are the problems with Nigeria. Those people there are the people that are holding us back. Because Babangida calls himself the evil genius. Yeah. Evil genius. Maradona.
Some people call it selective amnesia. Nigerians, they have selective amnesia. They pick in on who they want to pick on and leave what they want to leave out. But we'll get to that discussion later. Let's take more stories from other newspaper headlines before we go straight into the main discussion today.
All right, let's move straight to the Guardian newspaper, where we have at the top of the mass, dark art experience and the mystery of missing artworks. And the big story there on the cover page, it says, taming menace of frequent fuel tanker accidents and explosions. That story is available on page 8 to 9. On page 35, FG committed to correctional service reforms. This is coming from Tunji Ojo. And Also, we have the Babangida we should find in Tinubu. This is somewhat related to the conversation we're already having. And the final story here on page 9 says how resilience of Otegbayo is dismantling over 100 days of blackout at UCH. And of course, the Vanguard newspaper, we see at the top of the mast here on page 13, 2027 will do something different from the past, opposition parties says. And on page 30, Odegbami, why do retired sports heroes die young? On Osun LG crisis, Adeleke insists on polls place call for suspension. That story is available on page 5. On page 7, all proposals for creating new states fail to meet requirements. This has the report from the Deputy Speaker. And on page 26, we have the story on how Nigeria was a disaster under Jonathan. This is coming from Aisha Yesufu. Buhari was an abysmal failure. Tinubu failing too. Still coming from Aisha Yesufu. And on page 25, why Clark lived and died in Abuja. The top story on the cover page of the Vanguard newspaper this Saturday says how Miriam captured my heart, changed my life, IBB. In my proposal, I assured her I would not take multiple wives, understanding that avoiding polygamy would lead to a stable family life. I wanted a true partner. She exceeded my expectations, and I remained faithful. And finally, why we executed VATSA, 9 others, what Babangida's administration on my father's means. That is coming from Abiola's son. Of course, as much as we want to move to other stories, we see that it's obvious that Ibrahim Babangida is still in the news and, of course, celebrated by a lot of Nigerians.
There's a lot.
Let's react to Aisha Yesufu's claims on the fact that Jonathan's administration was a disaster. Let's have it in 1 minute.
Starting with me?
Yeah, you can go, please.
Okay. One thing is this. We may say, I don't see it as a disaster. You get it? I see it as some flops. That's what I would say. Because when you are talking about disaster, you are going to talk about something that swept everything away. Now, during the Jonathan era, we didn't have everything being swept away. We just have some, disaster. I mean, some issues here and there, which we could have, put right. Now, somebody else coming in to put it right was not the problem, but Nigeria went into a rush. You get it? And then we did one of the biggest mistakes of this country. That was from a former General Buhari coming in on board. And then the next thing we have now is what we have. So I don't see Jonathan's time as a disaster.
Oh, really, though? Mr. Peter, do you agree to that?
Aisha Yusuf herself is one of those that put us in the problem that we are.
Why would you say so?
With her Bring Back Our Girls campaign.
But there was an issue. They didn't wake up.
She helped to bring Buhari in power. That campaign helped Jonathan to fall and bring Buhari that to power. So Aisha is one of the problems with this country.
Okay, but our claims that Jonathan's administration was a failure. What's your reaction to that?
Jonathan, I was buying a bag of rice for 6,500. Was
it a failure or not?
It was never a failure.
But you know that even how many years ago that Jonathan was the president of Nigeria for the few
6 years.
Yeah. So in the world's economy was not as bad as it is at the moment. And you also do remember that the economy is everywhere. The economy downturn is everywhere. I know persons who are abroad who say that most of the things they bought like last year, for example, maybe $50. Most of them are getting it for maybe $55 or $60, and even more. So the economic downturn is everywhere. Why are we particular about?
Can you equate 6,500 and 100,000? What's the percentage?
Within this short period, within
what's the percentage?
Okay, to buttress what?
6,500 and 100,000.
I'm saying that the economy downturn is everywhere. That's what I'm saying. And what we bought for maybe 5,000 last 5 years can never be the same like
told you that.
Now.
That's not true.
Oh, is that the way it is in every part of the world?
Yes. Do you think every part of the world is suffering? Do you think they are having this economic downturn?
Well, there's some countries that are not.
Yes, now they did very well during that. Even during the COVID-19, they did extremely well.
No, so
do you know that I'm coming? Do you know that billions men became stupidly rich during the time of COVID-19? During that lockdown, they became very, very rich.
We had 500 billionaires within that COVID-19 period.
So
500 billionaires.
And they were asking Nigerians, why did you go on lockdown? Why did you go? Why did your government go on lockdown?
I totally understand where you're coming from, but talking about countries that were doing exceedingly well, I think that it is important to point out these countries and also understand the dynamics of the global economic crisis. However, you want to look at it from, you understand the position of the Naira in measuring up with what the standard in the global market says.
Yeah.
Even though we have a major problem of a system problem, we have a system that is not working, and that has not helped us in a way where we can even control pricing and all because of the devaluation of Naira.
I have an answer for you.
But I mean, we have to ask questions here, but the reality is that you cannot just tell us that some countries. We have to put figures. And
I'll give you one figure.
Okay.
One.
We need to wrap up quickly. So
yes, I'll give you one figure.
Right. Okay.
When Nitel was commercial, was converted to private sector.
Privatized.
Yes. Do you know what happened when MTN came on board? How much did you buy your SIM? I bought my SIM for 25,000 naira. How much is a SIM now? Is it not the same in Nigeria? I'm coming. How much was a call per minute then? So if you tell me that it cannot come down, it's not true. You get it? Because the people who are in charge did not want it to come down. If they want it to come down, if they want the price of things to come down within a year, it will come down. If they want the dollar, you get it, to come down and Naira to appreciate wonderfully, even to $1, to 100 naira. Okay. It is possible.
All right. So thank you very much for that response. But these are two different scenarios. These are business people making excess money in an economy that they just penetrated, and it was a big economy for them.
It's of government policy.
However, talking about Naira to dollar, we need to be a producing state for us to be able to compete. For our currency to be able to compete in the world. But we need to wrap up quickly on the newspaper review segment and go on a quick break. We'll be back shortly. Do stay with us.
Welcome back. Of course, this is still the morning buzz on Voice of the People TV, and we're moving over to Osun State this morning, where Adeleke, the governor of course, Osun State, has confirmed that the local government elections scheduled for today will proceed despite Attorney General latest Lateef Fagbemi's request to suspend them, citing constitutional concerns. Adeleke emphasized the importance of the rule of law and called on all stakeholders to respect democratic principles, asserting that the elections will promote local development and urging peace among citizens. The Attorney General referenced a recent court ruling that reinstated previously dismissed council chairman, whose terms are valid until October 2025. Arguing that any election held now would be unconstitutional and a violation of governance. He also warned against potential violence and urged the governor to maintain order in the state. Meanwhile, candidates from the Labour Party for the upcoming local government elections in Osun State have urged the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission, OSEC, to delay the election, citing ongoing legal disputes and logistical challenges. As we mentioned earlier, that we still have our guests in the studio, Mr. Peter Anosike and Mr. Lawal Ekundayo, and from Benin Outstation, Dr. Bright Onuvokuko, a medical doctor, public affairs analyst, and a political commentator. I don't know if you can hear us so that we can establish communication.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to start off with you, Dr. Bright. Now, we saw what panned out a few days ago. We noticed, trending on social media, lives were lost as a result of the upcoming Osun state government, which, of course, even had the celebrity, Davido come out to, make some statements, which he later apologized, saying that, he got into his feelings for the lives that were lost. And now today being, of course, the D-Day, and, the governor is saying, you know what, we still have to continue with these elections regardless of the security concerns and whatever it is that is going on in the state. Do you agree to that these elections, should still continue today despite everything that had happened in the past week?
You see, when this crisis actually comes up, like we talk about lives that were lost, it also comes to do with level of importance attached to those lives. For me, consider that the suspended local government chairman still have some time for the tenure to elapse, which is sometime in October this year. I'm of the opinion that the governor should have allowed that time to elapse. If, for example, there are issues he has with them and he does not even want them to come up or come back again to office, it will not be a case of maybe putting an interim local government, or maybe there was maybe a transition team in place for the time being so that they can serve. And by then, all these other crises would have calmed down, because the ongoing local government crisis across I would say across the country, because it's just starting. Edo State has a share of it that has not been settled, and now Osun has come with so many with some lives lost. Is not a good it's not a good thing. The governor should have kind of looked at the situation, consider the people, and just from now till October, when when their real tenure would definitely elapse, it would have, maybe from now till that time, they would have been able to settle the issue on ground. Then they conduct a proper election, because these persons who were sacked would continue to agitate and they will continue to ferment crisis. But again, it also gives a bigger task on the federal government, the National House of Assembly, to state that the local government autonomy that they are talking about, it has not fully taken place. Because if it has fully taken place, we may not be having the likes of maybe the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission, because there is no independence in any of those state electoral offices. So let's not just remove those that independence from it. That's my opinion, though. Let's remove those independence. It's actually Osun State Electoral Commission. For them conducting election, they would definitely want to do the bid of the current state governor. So if we want to allow local government, which is a major grassroots part of the arm of the government, then it should be very, very credible. They should take the responsibility fully away from the state government, who in every case they dictate what goes on. So until that is taken care of, we keep having this issue of a governor just wake up in the morning, he does not like the chairman, and he say, oh, local government dissolved, we want to conduct election. Meanwhile, the president cannot just wake up and ask the states to be either suspended or to conduct a fresh election. So if we are actually having these arms of autonomy, it is time
we can't hear you anymore. So, I don't know if you can hear me, but then you said remove independence. What do you mean when you mentioned remove independence?
I mean remove independence, because these electoral bodies being run by the state government, they are not independent. They are not, they don't have their say. The government of the day still dictates what and what happens to them. They take instruction from the government house. They do everything that they do from the government. So we don't actually see independence in there. It's just like we have our INEC, for example, Independent National Electoral Commission. Yes, we may understand that the president can appoint and have some, but you don't see them openly coming to do the bidding of the president. So the same thing at the state level. So if that independence for those state electoral commissions or what state electoral body would not be exercised, then there is no need for that eye. They are actually not independent. That is what I mean. They still take instruction, everything they want to do from the incumbent government of the day.
But to the House here, I'm going to start off with Mr. Peter Anosike. Dr. Bright said remove independence, and he also did mention that the independence in INEC is really not such a bad thing because they are independent, but that he mentioned a lot of things. So I want to ask you, do you really think that INEC is really independent, dating it back to what happened in 2023?
When he said that a state government should remove independence, the one that federal government is conducting, is it independent? That's the question. The one that is the one that federal government conducting independent. Did the APC win Edo State? So for me, this on the Osun election, federal government has no business with what is happening with local government election. In the state, we have a Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. We don't have such in the federal government. So the responsibility of conducting local government election lies on the state governments. They tried to intimidate Simi Fobra. Understand me? He went ahead and conducted his election. So Adeleke should go ahead and conduct. Let those who want to boycott. Understand me?
Okay.
And even for me, I keep on saying it is only people who have suffering in their DNA that will vote for APC under what Nigeria are going through at this point in time. Understand me? It is only people who God created to suffer that will vote for APC. So that the Osun APC boycott. Unless the people there are done. That's why APC will still win even a councillor in Osun State. So in Rivers State, police Ebotoku advised police to withdraw, and they withdrew. The election went ahead and was successful. So today, Ebotoku, who also come from Osun State, has told the police to withdraw. Let them withdraw. The election will go on peacefully, and the people will be elected and sworn in. Let those who are aggrieved go to court.
Okay, very brilliant response there. But in all of these things, I want you to also answer, because I mean, listening to you, you've talked about the fact that this thing happened in Rivers State and election held, and I mean, the rest is history. But the situation in Osun right now is from a place of advice from the AGF, citing the crisis in the state.
Because he is partisan. He is partisan.
Okay, I understand all of this, but looking at it from the angle of the governor coming out just the weekend, coming to make allegations the day after we saw the bloodbath in Osun State that has led to the death of a lot of people, there is insecurity in that state already. And beyond the All Progressives Congress boycotting, the Labour Party candidates has also come out to say that there were no materials in sight, there were no visible meetings. I mean, when an election is supposed to happen, there's supposed to be a meeting of all stakeholders at the INEC office to reassure them of these things happening, and materials in sight, at least just to show them preparedness for an election that is happening today. So if you are coming from the angle of the irresponsibility of the APC and why it shouldn't be voted for, would you also say that the Labour Party is irresponsible in its quest and its escalating the reality of what's on ground in the state? Should the life of Osun people not matter because a governor wants to make a statement, or because there's an All Progressive Congress that shouldn't be heard of?
I took time to read the CTC copy of that 2022 court judgment. Understand me? I took time to to read the certified true copy. And there was nowhere in that judgment that those local government chairmen were restored. I read the CTC. The guy in Benin, I don't know whether he did the same thing. So there's nowhere that those local government chairmen were restored. Understand? So legally, the election should go on.
No, you've not responded to how the lives of Osun citizens matters. I mean, my question was in response to the AGF's advice citing the situation in Osun State, and also I've also emphasized the fact that the Labour Party has also come to lay claims as to what the situation is with the Independent Electoral Commission in Osun State. So I wanted to respond to that and not the judgment keeping the local government officials in office.
One, life of everybody is important. Life of everybody is important. But when you begin that to take detail of everything, nothing will go on.
Everything as important as lives?
When you begin to take detail of everything, nothing will go on. So constitutionally, the nation is supposed to hold today, and it is holding.
Constitutionally, the elections are supposed to be after the tenure of those that are in office, which is supposed to be October 2025. But let me come to you, Mr. Lawal. What's your reaction with everything that is happening in Osun State? The position of the governor, advice from the AGF, and where the people of Osun stand. What are they to gain or lose in all of this?
If somebody takes an action and you go to court challenging that action, if the court nullifies that action, that means normally that person didn't take the action. That is what he's saying. You get it? That's why they say it's illegal. That means you are not expected to have taken that action. So it's not valid. So you return. That's what they are saying. Even though their tenure will end in October,
yeah.
that doesn't mean that they are supposed to be there. You get it? That's what the law of the governor,
That's what the court order
yes.
says.
Okay,
but there are two things. Wait.
We first need clarity on this judgment first. Let's get your reaction to that judgment.
There are, from what I read, I start to be corrected. There are two judgments.
So the final judgment from the
there is APP judgment, and then there is the PDP judgment. According to what I heard, that both of them went to court. So when they were challenging in the appeal court, they were challenging the PDP court. They didn't challenge the APP court. I mean the APP judgment. So even if the
what's the APP judgment?
The APP judgment, you get it. You know that the election was not supposed to be conducted. So the court uphold their prayers that it is illegal. Okay. So there are two judgments now nullifying it. The judgment of the PDP and the judgment that APP went to court separately. So instead of them to go and challenge the two, they only challenge one, and the other one still remain valid. So that's the issue now. Now the AGF that is talking, I'm disappointed in it because I know that naturally the federal government normally refuse to obey court order. We all know that the federal government, that is the AG itself, doesn't obey. Look at the case of the IPOP Kano. You get it? It's an issue that has been dragging over and over again. The government refused to obey the court. Now you are telling the governor of the state to obey when you don't lay a good example as the AGF.
Okay. Mr. Lawal, I'll hold your thoughts on that. Let's go over to Dr. Bright from our station in Bini. Dr. Bright, what are your reactions to this?
Well, like I said, I think Mr. Adeleke got it wrong. You know, when I said that the election will be in October, the Osun State governor can have an interim chairman or whatever in place, or a traditional group till that time, so that this crisis, we are in democracy. You know, lives are being threatened, lives were taken, and you don't want to count it as anything. Even if one life is lost, it's enough to say, okay, let us have a review. it's not a question of maybe if we keep looking at everything, nothing would happen. We must be sensitive to what is going on. It's like we're having my government, my way. You know, the issue of local government autonomy, we have looked at it over time, and we have seen the benefit it will bring to the people. But many a times, because the local government is totally and almost submerged under the state government, they decide who comes there, they decide what happens in that place. It becomes a challenge. Like I said, people just wake up one day and say, oh, we don't want these people in power, and let us push them away. Let's bring in a new set. And in conducting an election, yes, we have the role of the police, we have the role of the electoral body, but in most cases, because the state government at the time is probably, they will not be at par with the federal government. So you see the IG working on the issue of the federal government. Okay, we want to withdraw police, but ordinarily, with or without police, most of these elections have gone on without crisis. But it does not mean that the situation is calm. I cited the instance of those states. The crisis is still on. It has not been settled. Rivers just be done with Diaz, and we have Oshun also breeding. And what's happening? The dictate of the governor. Like in this Edo state, for example, the immediate past government of Mr. Godwin Obaseki, he conducted the local government election. What happened during that election is story for another day. It's a question of my people must be there. Every other person can go to hell or go to wherever they want to go to. And I also want to quickly chip in. The era we are in now, we should be careful of talking about APC, PDP. Mr. Adeleke, are you saying that if the people in PDP today move to APC, does that one also change their personality? It is high time we start looking at personality of people, their character and their traits, not necessarily their political party. I'm not a fan of any political party per se, but we must begin to address Nigeria, we must begin to make them understand. So that's seeing the real enemy. It is not the party, it is the people who are in this party. When they jump ship, I'll give a clear example. Governor Obaseki was a governor of Edo State in APC. He had issue with those in APC. When he came to PDP, the issue continued. So when he came to PDP, why did he not change? So it is high time we stop looking at this. We say, oh, APC. No, let's begin to look at these people. If the man has done wrong in APC, he now moves to PDP. Let's tell the people that it was this man that destroyed APC. He's now in PDP. People begin to take note of their names. Many persons who are senators, who are even, let's use the Senate president, for example. All his major political lives were in PDP. Now he's in APC. Has it changed? Let's begin to name these people, tag them wherever they go to. Let us put that tag in their on them, so that people will begin to know. Because you come and say APC, PDP, you are deceiving the people. Like you asked just now, if APC is aggrieved, they want the election about Labour, but they still look, those in the APC, those in the Labour Party, and even those in the PDP currently in Osun State, at one point or the other, they were palace, and they are still palace. They only have interest in the election. After the election, they go back to their normal business of paddy. So let's not begin to bring, whether it's APC, whether it's PDP, whether it is Labour. Let's begin to look at the personality involved. Thank you.
Right, that was quite the talk. Well, Mr. Peter, how do you react to that? Okay, let's have your reaction, Mr. Peter. I want you to react to what he said, because he actually said a lot of things, which he actually, what I want to pinpoint here that he also did mention. He said personality matters first.
Yes,
before party.
But you must not come in a wrong bus.
Okay.
Don't come in a wrong bus. And the bus that brought you is very, very important. Don't come in a wrong bus. Understand? It is important.
So now let me hold you on that. Let's say Peter Obi left from party to party, and then finally went to
APC.
Labour Party.
Okay.
And people immediately he got into Labour Party. People were like, oh, regardless, we're happy that he left this party to Labour Party, a party that let's say that a party that is as pure as gold. Do you understand?
No,
but the best thing.
No perfect party
No. I'm saying what people said. Now, Peter Obi is a human being, and he left from a renowned party that we all know what the party is all about. But people still maintain their stance that it is the personality, regardless of the boss that brought him to Labour Party. So now, if you're saying that it is the boss that brings you, should not come in a wrong boss. Are you shooting yourself on the foot, or are you saying...
No, if Peter Obi joins APC today, he has not.
But he came from another party to Labour Party, and people still maintain their stand that he is the person that they want, regardless of the party he was coming from.
I'm telling you, if Peter Obi make that mistake, he better resign from politics than going to APC. Because all the love that people have on him will disappear with
Mr. Peter, you're not understanding what I'm saying.
So wait.
Which party did Peter Obi come from?
PDP.
To Labour Party.
PDP.
He came from PDP,
Yes.
right? So is PDP an all-righteous party? PDP had their own issues in Nigeria as well.
It has issues, but it's better than APC.
Also, there's a better one now.
Sure,
no longer the boss he came with.
So there's a better.
So there's a better one. No longer the boss he came with. That was what I wanted to clarify.
Still the boss.
Okay, still the boss. Let's have you say something.
See, in a normal politics, you can carpet cross. There's nothing wrong about it. You get in Europe, where they make use of a parliamentary system of government that is doing very well for them, which we jettison. When you get to the house, you begin to do coalition, you begin to do this, you begin to do that. That is part of, because you begin to align with people who have ideologies with you. But our problem here, when it comes to politics, is about the people. The people look at politics as a means by which they get a job, or they take care of, put food in their mouth. Now, these are the wrong ideologies about politics. These are wrong ideologies. So if it's easy for somebody to carpet cross, then it is easy. Then it will make the leaders, to listen to the people, because they will be afraid that these people can leave also. They are members. We have the majority, but they may change you. So we need to dance to their tune. That's why you see protest is very effective in developed countries, because the leaders are always afraid that they might lose the people. But here, our ideology is not about that. It's always about, well, when he gets here, I will get something from him. And that is where we are, and that's what the politicians are.
But is it really about just carpet crossing and people knowing that, when they misbehave, that somebody else would take over power? Or should we start by talking about the monies that these politicians earn from leading us?
That's why I said that in Nigeria, the people are afraid of their political leaders. You get it? So the political leaders, they are some kind of godfather. Godfather is very small, like some kind of demigods to their people. You see, when a politician pass by, even here across your area here, you see some of those area boys hailing politician as if, and the guy will just open his wind down his glass and then throw out some few thousand naira to them, and you see the way they will be, behaving like.
Okay. Let me pick on the fact that you emphasized on the ideology behind our politics here. When you talk about ideology and try to define political parties, you've also mentioned that when a politician passes now, I mean even an elite pass, you see the kind of energy around them. Is it peculiar to political parties still reacting to the burst, or it's an individual thing? And when you also talk about this ideology and saying that a devil is better than the other, at the beginning of the All Progressives Congress, we saw a need for a coalition to unseat the then President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan of the People's Democratic Party. And there was a Congress that was held. At that Congress, there was supposed to be a consensus for Jonathan to run again. But an Atiku Abubakar walked out of that Congress. Bukola Saraki and the likes followed suit And that was the beginning to the end of Jonathan's administration. All of these people, from the People's Democratic Party, from the APGA, from this, even Buhari's party, CPC, or what is called then, we saw a lot of these people, even from NNPP. All of the top contenders in the last election in 2023, apart from Peter Obi, were a strong party to the success of the. Let me establish that. Where, I mean, the top contenders, Atiku, Kwakwanso, apart from Peter Obi, they were all a strong opposition to the Jonathan administration, looking for coalition to unseat him. All of these people came together, formed the All Progressives Congress, maybe the best of the devils put head together to define the bigger devil you see now. So how do you define the ideology of a political setting, excusing the fact that politicians are about their own interest, and at the end of the day, this interest supersedes your thoughts about who gets the office, regardless of the boss that brings them in?
You know, we've been having crisis, political crisis in Nigeria since 1960. You get? Now, it's got that even at this present moment, or within the last 10 years, even more, even in this new dispensation that we say we had 20 years, so that the old ones that have been part of the wrong politics we are practicing are still the people ruling us. So how do you expect a new change?
No,
I'm coming. How do you expect somebody who come with an ideology that didn't work 40 years ago, came back to rule you? What do you think it will bring in? It's still the same wrong ideology. Okay, look at give me a good example. Obasanjo, in 1970 something, was the head of state. You get it? When he gave it to Shagari, how many years did Shagari last? It went back to the military. The same person came back to be the president. So what is he going to bring in? Now, when he left, who came in again? Minus Yaradua. Who came in again? Buhari of 1983. Is that not true, sir?
84.
84, 85. The same Buhari of 1984, 85 came in to rule on with the same ideology they used then. You get it? In this new dispensation, what do you expect? Are you bringing in new things?
You've not answered my question, but we need to move away from that story because of time.
Okay.
Let's.
Is this the same ideology? The ideology is rhetoric. So we always have the same thing on board. In New Year, you are going to have the whole song being sung. That's what is happening to Nigerian politics.
No pun intended, song being sung. Well, all right, let us talk about Osun State. What do you expect from the elections today? Despite the whole court ruling and despite the fact that Labour Party has come out to say, you know what, we think we want to move this thing. What do you expect from the elections today?
It's still the old song being sung, in the new era. You know, you are singing, we are tired of this song. You get it? The thing is this same thing that they are shouting and complaining, I will not pass it, and it happens across. Every time it happens in Lagos, it happens across the country. Anytime a governor is coming in, there always be some this same rhetoric, old song being sung, and see, we are tired of it. We want new Nigeria. We are not having it. That's the problem. So the election will go on. The people the governor wants will win the local government. You get it? And that's the music. It has come down to these traditional leaders, rulers now, in which a governor will come on board, remove the old traditional ruler, put his own. And that governor will come after 4 years, remove this one, put his own. You see, the whole thing is being bastardized. It's because these politicians are bringing in these old rhetoric ideas that have not been working. The present one here, that those who are ruling us have ruled us. They have been in politics since 1980 something. So what new idea are they going to bring in? They are 70 something, 80 something years old. You get it? They bring in the whole idea that didn't work into the country, and they are using it for us. So what else do you expect? The old song.
All right, the old song. Mr. Peter, let us have
what is going to happen in Osun is not new. No governor has lost government election in his state.
Right.
Whether the governor is doing well or is not doing well. Even Yahaya Bello, Kogi won all the local government in his state. Understand me?
Right.
Even when so it happens everywhere. In Castena, the governor won. So It's nothing new.
So we can preempt the results already.
Sure, sure, sure.
Well, let's come from the security angle. You know, there were concerns about the bloodbath that happened a few days ago in Osun State. So, do you think that there will be, you know, an improvement for the security of the citizens that are residing in Osun?
I'd like making use of precedents.
Okay.
During the River State governorship local government election, the IGP said that there's a court order that the election should not go on. Therefore, police should not participate. So, police did not participate in River State, and it was peaceful. It went on. So today, I'm sure that in Osun, police may also not participate. Even Davido said that Amotoku will take over from the police. Understand me? So for me, life of every Nigerian is important.
Of course.
If you don't want to abide by the rules, stay in your house. Understand me?
Okay.
If you don't want to go and vote in the election, stay in your house. Don't go there and start causing a problem.
But you know that the Nigerian police, they withdrew from, you know, the
Rivers.
Yes, they withdrew from the election, and you know, urging the states, you know, to suspend the election. So, how do you think that there will be possibility of enough security in that state?
In Rivers, police withdrew and the election was peaceful. So it seems as if police is even part of our problem.
Well, do not forget to join the conversation as Voice of the People. Of course, we encourage you to call and share your thoughts and reactions via WhatsApp on 0904-473-2605, of course. But let's move over to Benin. Let's have Dr. Bright. Dr. Bright, what are your expectations from the elections today in Osun State? Do you think that it's going to be the normal thing that happens? You know, the governor who has been there, you know, his people getting to win. Or do you think that something different might actually happen in Osun State today?
Different would happen. APC boycotts the election. The governor is happy. Labour Party stepped down, the governor is happy because within their script. And this is what is happening all over. And we shouldn't be encouraging it. Like Mr. Adeleke asked just now, did APC win Edo State? APC did not win Edo State. It is the court that will now tell us what and what it's there. But shall we continue in all those things? Can't we just have a clean and credible election? You know, the true test of our democracy is in local government election. Because in a local government election, you have the chairman who will be the head of a particular local government. In some of the local government, within 2 days or thereabout, working on food around some of these local government. And of course, you now have the wards. The councillors are going to come from. These wards, they are closer to the people. Your popularity in your ward will go a long way to help. But when you now have a situation whereby the scripts are written, who will be the chairman is written, it gets on a platter of gold, probably they didn't even campaign to the people, the same thing to the ward councillor. The people you don't campaign to, how are you going to be accountable to them? You know, this, I see it as a way to shortchange the people, because if the local government are working, I believe our system would continue the provision and the things that are coming from the local government. But if we keep saying or we keep supporting the situation whereby the governor who is coming in has the prerogative, has the right, has the constitutional power to write out the names of those who he wants to be chairman, names of those who he want to be councillor, we keep suffering. Because when I go to the local government chairman to say, oh, we're having this challenge with our road, with our market, or with our health center, the man is looking that, are you the one who brought me into office? Did you actually even vote me into office? So talking about how PDP would win, there is no there, because there was even no contest in the first place, where you've kind of created an atmosphere where your opponent would walk away because that's the only thing. You can just intimidate them and send them away. So I don't expect a winner. Let the governor just come up later. Let the so-called let them come announce whatever script that they've written maybe by around by 4 or 5 or 6 p.m. of today. Let them just announce it. But I still stand to say this path that we are treading is not the best. I said it is happening in Edo now. In a couple of months, maybe the governor will say, oh, there will be no government. And those who were for where the knowledge of how they came in, Rivers have just done their own, Osun will do their own. Then before you know it, every other state. And at the end of the day, who are those suffering it? Nigerians.
Hey, thank you very much for your submission, Dr. Bright, even though a lot of people might not agree with your stance, but it's fine. We wish the people of Osun State well. We hope that the election process go on smoothly. I mean, it's almost like a one-party election, so there shouldn't be any form of crisis or riots in that election. We hope that the results come out and the people of Osun enjoy the government under the leadership of Governor Adeleke. But let's move on to the next topic on the show this morning, and talking about herdsmen attacks and kidnappings increase in Nigeria, resulting to NYSC withdrawal and ransom alarm. We will discuss this after the break. Please stay with us.
Are you ready to connect with distinguished Nigerians around the world? The Diaspora Perspective is here to share the views of Nigerians in the diaspora on burning issues.
From the street of New York, the royal cities of London, and the bustling cities of Europe, Voice of the People Television brings to you a roundtable and collage of interesting views from Nigerians in diaspora.
Join the host of the show and some Nigerians in diaspora, Dr. Damages, the flagship, Show, and KJ, as they discuss the experiences, challenges, and triumphs of Nigerians living abroad.
Discussing and analyzing everything from politics, culture, policies, career success, and how Nigerians are staying connected to their roots. Showing every Saturday by 2 p.m. West African Time and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
The Diaspora Perspective, giving a voice to Nigerians abroad.
Welcome back and many thanks for staying with us. It's still the morning buzz on Voice of the People Television, and trust me, we're here for you. It's Saturday. Recently, there has been a noticeable surge in kidnappings, killings, and conflicts between farmers and herdsmen across various regions of the country, Nigeria. An attack on the Ayin community in Benue State, reportedly carried out by suspected herdsmen, has resulted in an unknown number of deaths, with recovery efforts still ongoing. This incident adds to the distressing trend of violence in the area, where herdsmen attacks have resulted in at least 5,000 fatalities, just as earlier 16 farmers were ambushed and killed in Kashimbila Road, with their bodies discarded in a river. Very sad incident there. But in the light of this rising violence and, of course, the interest of the National Youth Service Corps, it has decided to withdraw all corps members from the Mba local government due to Mba community due to security threats. NYSC officials have assured that despite the dangers in nearby regions, all station corps members are safe and accounted for, with measures in place to ensure their security. Additionally, the kidnappers holding Prince Eniola Joseph Ojajuni, the national president of the Afenifere National Youth Council, have issued a 48-hour ultimatum threatening to kill him if a ransom of 100 million naira is not paid. A voice recording obtained reveals the tense negotiation taking place between the families and the abductors. Very sad position for anyone to be in right now, trust me. But still in the studio with us this morning is Mr. Peter Anosike, who has been helping us with analysis of some of the stories. And we also have in the studio Mr. Lawal Ekundayo. And from our Benin outstation, Dr. Bright has done quite justice to some of the conversations we've had so far. So let's talk about herdsmen in Nigeria, and particularly bringing it down to Benue State. Benue State is supposed to be the food basket of the country, but sadly has been ravaged by insecurity, and it feels like there's a deliberate attempt to shut down the economic functionality of that state. Let's talk about the reality of Nigerians first before we get to the Afenifere Youth Council member, because his life is under threat. I watched the video, the audio, and looking at the fact that he's been shot in the butt already calls for serious attention. But let's talk about security in Benue State. Let me come to you, Mr. Lawal. What do you make of all these events? Just last week, 16 people were killed. Now another attack on the same community. How did we get here? How do we get out of this situation?
I remember what the government said some few weeks ago, a month, something, that they are winning war on banditry and terrorism.
Right.
But I was skeptical, because I believe what I said then was that a country in which, the voice of the people are being suppressed, protesters, are being arrested and charged with treason, people tend to be afraid to report. So how do we know that the government is actually saying the truth? And look at what is happening now. People are making reports. See, they simply move from one area to another area. If they are here in Katsina, or maybe wherever they are, and you attack them, they will simply move from that area to another area. Before you know, you say there's a peace in this area, there's peace. Whereas they are already grouping in another area and they start their mayhem. Benue was already quiet for some time now. You get it? It was, I think, Katsina that was, now we hear now is in Benue. Now, from there, you will hear is they are in Jos. Before you know, they are back in Niger State. And before you know, they are going back to, you can see, I don't understand.
Really sad situation there. But Mr.
Don't understand.
Let's look at it from the part of the people now, because...
See, I need to make this. You get it? You come and see Lagos here now. Go to the border. You see the customs, and you see so many, see the way they check you, you get it? Whether you carry rice or something like that. And I wonder what is happening over there, that we don't have this type of security of a tight.
Okay, let me continue. Let me come to Mr. Anosike. Mr. Anosike, this is a big problem already. What do you make of citizens beginning to defend themselves?
Well, for me, I don't think it's right, because if everybody becomes a soldier, understand, it will become a state of anarchy. But the problem that we have in Benue and in other states is that federal government has refused to disarm those Fulani herdsmen. You see the picture that we saw now, that herdsman was carrying an AK-47. So he is carrying AK-47, and he's not a state security agent. So what right does he to be carrying a firearm? That is why people are no longer going to the farm, because when you are going to the farm with a cutlass or a hoe, and you see somebody there with AK-47, how can you fight him? So if government is serious about this fighting security, the first step is to disarm all these herdsmen that are carrying AK-47.
Okay.
Because they have no right at all to be carrying guns. In the 70s and 80s, they move around with
Bows and arrows.
With stick, highest a dagger.
Yeah.
But today, you see them carrying arms, carrying
Firearms.
Yeah.
firearms.
So do you think that is the same herdsmen that are just about their cattle rearing, or this is this defined and known as a terrorist group?
No, we are talking about the herdsmen first.
And because if you say that herdsmen are carrying ammunition, arms as powerful as the AK-47, that is no longer a regular herdsman that is about doing the cattle business. Yes. This is a war against the people.
So, one, we start with disarming them.
Okay.
When you disarm them, then when you disarm them, then we can now know who or the terrorists are. But the only way, the best way of resolving security is good governance.
Okay, good governance.
Good governance.
All right. Well, let's move over to our Benin station, Dr. Bright. So I'll date it back to 2019 when I, during my NYSC, where, you know, young people going to the camp to do their NYSC. After 3 weeks of a rotation camp, we were posted to different places. And I do remember, even though I was posted to Makodi, I do remember some of my fellow corps members who, you know, ran from, I think, Otukbo and some other parts of the states in Benue State to Makodi because some houses were burned down. And because of the insecurity ravaging that city as far as 2019. And you know, we all know that Benue State is the food basket of the nation. And I remember how much we used to buy just a tuber of yam. It wasn't even up to 500 naira for one tuber of yam. I recall, you know, sending a lot of tubers to people and stuff like that. But you know, we're having a different case altogether from that year up till now. The food, a whole food basket of the nation. We're not seeing our people, you know, our old people, our young people going into the farms anymore. So, you know, for their businesses because of the insecurity going on in Nigeria. But we are talking about, let me talk about, you know, of course, Benue State. And, you know, having seen that, you know, a lot of core members are no longer able to go for their assignments because of the insecurity ravaging the country. How do you react to that?
Well, it's a pathetic situation, and it's not something that is good in any way. We also served as COP members, and we know some of the interland, the hard to reach areas that some of us were meant to. If the security system was this bad, it would not have actually helped. But again, I keep saying that security is not about arms and ammunition. Security is about intelligence gathering. And there's a problem that we have. Some of the terms that we use are not actually what it should be. Yes, like Mr. Adeleke talked about, with herdsmen, sometimes with them as nomadic cow rearers, they move from one place to the other with their cattle going, and the highest we see with them is their stick that they use. Yes, at some point we saw them with bows and arrow, but now seeing them with AK-47, it actually gives room for us to start asking questions about what are they doing with those weapons. Now, the X-Men, there are some groups that will tell you, oh, because you hear X-Men, that's the cattle rearers and farmers having issue. Yes, you have your crops already planted, and these people come with their cow to graze right inside your farm, which will create a lot of loss. But I think where either our government or our security is missing it is this set of people. They should be properly analyzed, straight, and defined. Then those who may be fronting for them should also kind of come out to say, this is the extent to which these persons will vouch for them. Those going beyond this point, they are on their own, or maybe they have a different motive entirely. Because that's where we are beginning to miss it. Because now I am serving, and I see some cattle coming down. I'm trying to look at the person kind of guiding them, if he's holding a stick or he's holding a weapon. And I've asked us to ask. Many of times we see some of them walking around. They are still in Benin also. And they still hold the stick. Is it that those who are holding the AK-47 are somewhere hiding, when crisis arise, they signal them to come or what, because it's still a kind of a confusing state. And now looking at the food basket of the nation, like you actually talked about, there is another school of thought feeling that if, for example, these people are producing rice and I want to import rice, for example, their local production may affect my own importation. So what can I do to deprive them of having their local production? They can continually ask for that imported product. That's one school of thought. The other thought is like, these persons, what are they aiming after? Like, take over their land, they want to take over their community, and the best way to do it is to intimidate them and push them away. Then another one is the one that has to do with, these areas where these issues are on, there are some special things there, maybe like they are having some illegal, maybe like mining or some other things that are going on there. So the people to be aware of what is going on. So what can they do to chase people away? And I will drop down with this. The government should not come announcing the number of lives that have been lost. We want to see results. Security is about communication, about intelligence gathering. The people have a role to play in providing information to the necessary security agency. But will this information being provided not backfire on the people? That is the fear Nigerians are having. I give information about kidnappers, I give information about herdsmen.
Very much, Dr. Bright. These are very valid points that you have raised here. But let's come back to the studio. Mr. Adeleke, somebody has said at some point that there are no cows that are being moved from as far as Maiduguri down to probably Ogun State or Lagos State. Says that most of these cattle rearers work for local businessmen who are also in that business. And when it comes to them going after people causing destruction, it feels more like they employ them as mercenaries to evoke this evil in the land. Do you agree to this?
The truth is that those cows are being owned by big men somewhere in Abuja and other big areas. They are not those herdsmen are not really the owners of the cows. So they are working for some people. Understand? Initially, the knife that they were using, there were this argument that they use it because of wild animals that attack them in the forest. But now they are no more using it they are now using guns on human beings. They are now using those guns on human beings. Do you know in the East how people go to the farm? 20 able-bodied men will accompany one man to his own farm because of fear of these herdsmen who are now in all the farms in the Southeast. So instead of 20 men going to their different farms, they will accompany one person because of security purposes. And there's no way 20 cutlasses can match one AK-47.
Right.
So talking about AK-47s, I want to, let us make it come down to where these people get these arms from. If they are actually, if it is legal for them to have those arms.
It is not.
But before we actually talk about that, I want us to also know that there's a report that says from August last year, from 2024, in 1 year, Nigerians have paid about 1 billion naira plus in ransom.
No, 2022, 2023, 2 trillion naira as ransom. Not billion.
No, just in 1 year, just in 2022, just in 1 year. That's what
I mean, it's a couple of months from August.
Yes, a couple of months from, and so of course the money is going to be much. And then we're having,
so it's now a very big business.
Okay, so that was why I pointed out the fact that, don't you think that these people are mercenaries hired to carry out these jobs because it's beyond cattle rearing? Because we need to establish this before we move to the fact that a young youth leader was kidnapped and they're demanding for a whooping 100 million naira. So is it a business, is it a viable business?
I've said it some time ago, last year here, that all these things is a form of job, gainful employment for some people.
Gainful employment?
Yes, and it's not within Nigeria only. Some of these people you see, they have a connection with some bandits outside, terrorists outside Nigeria. That's why there's no limit to what they do. You get it? And that's why you see them doing it with impunity. There was a time we have Boko Haram was reigning. Later ISWAP came, you get it, fought them, took over. You remember in Nigeria.
Right.
And then before we knew, we have IS coming in.
ISIS.
So, and you see all these people, they have connections across West Africa, across East Africa.
Sahel
you get it?
region.
And then they get a connection to the Middle East. You can see the syndicate. So what I'm saying is that these people, you get it, it's a way of, get money, like you are going to work and then you are taking money to your family. So you see them, like when you send money, repatriate money from abroad, where your family is working down to Nigeria. So they are also repatriating this money to some certain areas outside Nigeria. Because that's why you don't see an end to this. They are attached to some powerful people in Nigeria. That's why when America came up with list, the government ignored it. When people came out with list, the government ignored it and tried to give them a faceless.
Right.
They make them faceless. Is it possible to be faceless? It's not. Look at Osama bin Laden. It was labeled. Look at Hamas. Look at all those. They are profiled. Like my doctor said, they are profiled. When you have a problem, you bring out experts to look at this problem, what's the source of this problem, what are the strengths of this problem, how do we take out this problem. But in Nigeria, they make it like it's a normal thing we need to accept.
All right.
So when you are kidnapped today, just think of how to pay the ransom so that you can be free.
It's not even enough paying the ransom because there are people that even pay the ransom and
they still
only have
So it's like
get their crops.
they are telling us that they have come to stay. That's the way it sounds to me. It's like the government is telling us that this thing is going to be part of you. You have to live with it.
All right, talking about solutions, actually, you mentioned, solving the problem. Now, NYSC, we all know that, every Nigerian youth want to, pass through the NYSC program.
It's even compulsory.
Yes, which we know it's compulsory. So, should we now say that NYSC should put a hold to posting people, or should they reduce or maybe pinpoint the states, where there is a lot of insecurity,
states,
so how do you think that the NYSC should do this so that people can be able to, serve their country as they should?
With what we are having now, before the NYSC was like something to make the youth know about every part of Nigeria and see how, the other, the whole country is. The other people and other but that thing is defeated now. The purpose of NYSC, we don't even understand anymore for a long time. I sat down and I tried to understand the meaning. What exactly is the purpose of this NYSC to Nigerians? I don't understand anymore. So if we want to continue to run this NYSC, then with this crisis of insecurity, then let them run it in their states. So at least the people in your state, you are from this state, you know the people in your state. So when you are serving in your state, you know how to take care of your own security.
The original idea will be defiled because, like you rightly said,
it has already been defiled. I don't even up till now. Can you tell me the purpose? Because most of them, they are sent to go and teach, and they are bastardizing the education system.
And they're being sent to some.
Okay, Mr. Adeleke,
most of them.
A lot of.
Let's get
the engineering telling to go and teach biology. Somebody who did it. I don't.
Excuse me. That's not what the main purpose of NYSC. NYSC came in 1973 by Gowon, and it's part of national reorientation, so that Nigerians should be able to go to other parts of the country and feel free. Understand me? And then the two conditions not to serve is overage if you are above 30,
Above 30.
or health issues.
Even though we have a lot of over 30 persons that have, been serving.
We don't know about that.
I know about that. I know someone who served
You don't
in
even
my
need their
city
advanced
that
certificate.
actually
Even in
fell.
camp, you see them.
He fell and died.
With the issue now with 77,000 naira a month, it has become even a big business.
Even I think it's like 60. They had agitated for 60,000. I think it was moved to 30,000. Or it's moved to 30.
And that's
it
even
was
from the
in my
federal
time that
government,
it was
actually.
moved from to,
And I even discovered that
32.
many of them,
33.
which I saw, I wanted to take it up as an activist, but the person said he was afraid that many of them ended up not being paid. Many of those NYC are not being paid by the government.
No, maybe the place of their primary
Maybe the place
assignment.
of
There's no way the federal government
would always pay you. Maybe their place of primary assignment, because I know some people who were posted to some places and then they were never paid. Just that they were given accommodation and just stay here and do your NYSC, but the NYSC would always have to pay. But I'll hold your thoughts on that. Let's get to Bini, where Dr. Bright is waiting. Dr. Bright, should we scrap NYSC? What do you think we should do? Let's know if, do you think also that NYSC is really not as important as it used to be in the years past?
Back to Nigerian definition of gain. I am not of the school of thought that we should scrap NYSC. But however, in areas where there are security challenges or some other concerns that could affect the lives of these serving corps members, it should be adequately communicated. Maybe for a while they are not allowed to go to those areas, because the benefits that NYSC brings is a lot to the nation, and considering that the people who are serving, they are out to work for the country and also do so many other things. It's an avenue for experience gathering. It's one place where you could know that you are in charge of your lives. That's where some persons get independence from their parents. That's where some persons have opportunity to mingle for the first time with different people from different backgrounds. And even though some people still want to boycott it, the 3 weeks orientation is very, very key. Some persons are exposed to some military drilling and so many other things. And then at the point of serving, a lot of persons discovered themselves. Some persons have gone to serve in places where they feel they don't want to go and serve, and they start doing business there. They don't want to come back. Some ladies have been able to find their husbands and so many other things. So there are a whole lot of benefits that is going on with it. And like we just mentioned just now, unemployment is still very high. And if a fresh graduate is just thrown into the labor market without even getting an opportunity to even probably get something, the frustration will definitely be high. Yes, 77,000 is not may not take people to some places, but again, it's a very good starting point. So if you look at the benefit of NYSC, we would not want to subscribe to it being scrapped. I know the benefits, I know the knowledge and experience.
Saying that when we served, a lot of us would always wear our NYSC khaki because we knew that people would always have pity on us and help us because they felt, oh, the money was small. But now people no longer want to wear that khaki because they feel like you're earning 70-something thousand naira, so you should be able to have enough money to be able to buy things. Yeah.
But it's still part of the orientation, yes, because you see, if not that the way the country is going, and we need to actually reverse the trend to bring up our value. Wearing your NYSC uniform is a thing of pride, because it's not something you go to the market to go and buy. It's not something you just ask a tailor to make for you. It's something that you have earned. You wear your khaki and your boots, you are walking around. People respect you for it is if you are even going home, you wear it and you get home. Oh, this your family, they are proud to say they have a graduate. So we should go back and reorientate our value system. Those days, at the earliest stage, if you are wearing your NYSC uniform coming from Kano to Benin, not even paying transport, people are willing to support you because they know that you are serving.
Time, Dr. Bright. I can't hear you. Well, we're pressed for time. Thank
This
you
our
so
young
much.
one. So,
All right, let's get to your concluding thoughts, Mr. Lawal, just in a few seconds.
Okay, but the security,
Everything that we've been talking about on the show today.
this Nigerian system, it's not working. I keep saying it's not. For this country to work, we need to change this system. We need to change the constitution. It needs changing. It's creating a lot of problems for us, from local government to the state. Even so many local governments are in fact, they are one of the most corrupt. Nobody is checking them up to now. So we need a constitution that can work for Nigeria.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. Mr. Peter Nosike, let's have your concluding thoughts.
On the issue of NYSC, it is important and should continue.
Okay.
But it should be changed to skill acquisition. Understand me? Because this teaching thing does not really help. That will be a 1 year of learning skill by those graduates.
Okay.
That was how this Silicon Valley in California started.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Peter Anosike and Mr. Lawal Ekundayo, and also Dr. Bride Onyovokuko. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being on the show with us. But we'll take a short break and then we'll come back with trends this morning. Stay tuned.
Join us as we drive into the world of politics through insightful interviews with prominent political figures, both serving and former governors, ministers, senators, legislators, party chieftains, activists, and analysts. Get first-hand information into the decision-making processes that affect our daily lives. Highly engaging 1-hour program that brings political discourse into focus.
I am Chukwuma Okoro.
Political Lens, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Join us. Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I. From social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more. Tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. People's Voice. Mondays through Thursdays, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The People's Voice. Make your voice count.
Welcome back. This is still the morning buzz on Voice of the People TV, and now we're talking about trends. So we're moving over to the widow of Mohbad, Omomi Aloba, of course, the Nigerian music star. She recounted how the they first met on the social media app To Go 12 years ago when she was 13 and he was 15 years old. They started as friends and eventually became lovers, marrying and having a child together. Mohbad, of course, we know that he passed away on September 12th, 2023 and was buried by his father, Joseph Aloba, shortly after, even though the wife said that he is yet to be buried, that he is still in the mortuary. Following controversy surrounding his death, Mohbad's body was exhumed on September 21st for an autopsy, with results still pending. Joseph Aloba has stated that Mohbad will only be reburied once the autopsy results and a DNA test on his grandson, Liam, confirm paternity. This case is 2023, and I don't know if it takes a decade before a DNA test and an autopsy test comes out, because as far as I know, most autopsy tests come out in a short period of time, and the government did their own autopsy. Also, there was a private autopsy done, and we're yet to get the results.
Okay, so let's pick it up from the fact that the father, Papa of Mohbad, has come to say that this burial will only happen after Mohbad's the autopsy test is being released and of course the DNA test. But let's look into what Omowomi has to say. I mean, I think that Mohbad was quite unfortunate with the kind of people he had as family, and this is me just being Nigerian, unapologetical. We saw the energy when Mohbad passed. People came out to say that he was bullied at some point in his life. You know, it wasn't even about the death itself. People were talking about the circumstances around this guy when he was alive and after. But what happened? Family, bad parenting. It wasn't difficult to hide because the wife even said that they've always had issues which her husband was trying to resolve, and we can even see that with everything that has played out. I don't think it's the fault of anybody that Mohbad has not been buried. It's the fact that he has parents that really care about themselves, what is to gain, and not about the boy lying lifeless at the morgue. Recall she also mentioned that her father-in-law asked that if this DNA is done, she should make the results private. Why are you granting interviews to ask for a DNA and you want the result to be private? And you want her to also sign that she would not sue you following the release of that DNA? I think that it's unfortunate, like I said, Mohbad had to come through this parent, but the deed has been done, is no more here with us. May his soul find eternal rest, but let them do what they want. It's their son at the end of the day.
And you also know that she did mention in that interview that she got to know about her husband's burial online.
Yeah, because of the circumstances around it, you know, him reacting to an injection given to him by a nurse. In her words, she said they had to call the auxiliary nurse as a first aid measure, not that they intended staying with her. But unfortunately, there was some reactions. But if the autopsy result was out, we would have been able to get clarity.
Everything would have been closed by now.
So keeping all of this in secrecy looks more like the family or the father is trying to buy time, or maybe enjoying the unexpected fame that came with losing his son. I mean, I don't know if a father would guess to wear his own child's clothes saying that, oh, he's gone now and I have some entitlement to all of it. But in all of this, I can only wish Mohbad eternal rest, sincerely. And I pray that the young chap, Liam, has a life that is beautiful because the bully is just too much. Yeah. All right, of course, and this is where we'll wrap up the show for today. And the Morning Boss, of course, will make a return next week, Saturday, with your beautiful hosts on the show. I am Masinachi Okafu. And I am Adefunke Jayesimi. You have a great weekend.